The sky over Nova Terra was no longer blue. It burned with streaks of fire as alien bombardments tore through the upper atmosphere, scattering molten debris over the colony below. From orbit, Commander Elias Voss watched the chaos unfold on the main display of a UDS Retribution, his jaw tight as the Tyrax fleet eclipsed the light of the distant sun. Status on the eastern shield grid? Voss demanded, his voice even, but his eyes, ice gray, narrowed like a blade edge. Collapse, sir. The Dominion's plasma artillery punched through it 10 minutes ago, replied Tactical Officer Lin, fingers flying across the console. Ground units are exposed. Voss leaned forward, studying the battle map. 10 alien cruisers were descending like vultures toward the colony's surface installations, tearing through the orbital defense platforms as though they were paper. He exhaled once, sharp and controlled. "Patch me through to all fleet channels," he ordered. The bridge fell silent. Crew members, battered by hours of relentless combat, looked to him for a reason to keep fighting. "This is Commander Elias Voss, United Terra Defense Navy," he said, voice calm but carrying the weight of steel. "To every captain, every pilot. Hear me, those ships out there think we're prey. They don't know what happens when humans are cornered. We're about to show them." The comms crackled with affirmations, the kind that came from men and women who refused to die quietly. "Captain Holt," Voss continued. A woman's voice answered, brimming with adrenaline. "Here, Commander. Your squadron is on point. I want those vultures off Nova Terra's throat. Use hit-and-run tactics. Don't get fancy. Cut deep, retreat, strike again. Yes, sir. We'll give them something to remember." The alien fleet moved with precision that felt almost mechanical. The Tyrax Dominion's warships were unlike anything human sensors had cataloged before. Sharp, angular vessels lined with living armor plates that rippled and flexed like muscle. Each one bristled with energy weapons that could level a city block in seconds. "Enemy cruiser vectoring toward us. Bearing 085, Lin reported. They're locking plasma cannons. "Bring up the Retribution's forward shields and fire railguns on my mark," Voss said. The deck rumbled as the ship swung into attack position. Through the viewport, the alien cruiser loomed, its hull glowing with a sickly green light. "Fire!" The Retribution's railguns roared, hurling tungsten rounds that struck the alien vessel's shield barrier. The first volley fizzled harmlessly. The second slammed through, tearing gouges into the organic plating. The crew erupted in brief cheers before a retaliatory blast rocked the Retribution, throwing sparks from overhead conduits. "Forward shields at 60%, shouted Engineering Officer Darius. "Divert auxiliary power from aft thrusters. Keep our nose in their face," Voss replied. "If we go down, we're taking at least one of them with us." Outside, Captain Arya Holt's squad and the starfighters streaked past the Retribution, weaving between alien fire like angry hornets. Her voice cut into the comms with a grin you could almost hear. "Commander, they're tough, but they bleed when you hit them just right. Watch this." Voss tracked her fighter's signature as it plunged dangerously close to an alien destroyer. Holt released a spread of magnetized plasma torpedoes that clung to the ship's hull. The explosion that followed was bright enough to flash through the Retribution's shields. "Target neutralized," Holt reported. "And that's how humans say hello." "Save the victory speeches for after we survive," Voss replied, though a faint smile tugged at his mouth. The battle stretched on, a brutal dance of survival. Human ships darted between massive Tyrax cruisers, striking fast, vanishing before the enemy could lock on. The aliens, arrogant and methodical, were in use to prey that bit back. "Commander, incoming transmission," Lin said. "It's them." On screen, the alien leader's image filled the main display, a towering figure with reptilian skin that shimmered like wet stone, its black eyes reflecting no light. "You are a primitive species," the alien's voice rumbled, distorted but chilling. "Your colony will burn. Submit, and we will grant a swift end." Voss stepped forward, his expression unreadable. "You made a mistake coming here. You think we're weak because we don't conquer, but we know how to fight when we have no choice." The alien tilted its head, as if amused. Voss leaned closer. "Perish," he said and cut the feed. Commander, Lynn said quietly, that was necessary, Voss interrupted. They want to see fear. I want them to see what happens when they underestimate us. He turned back to the tactical screen. Signal, all ships. Prepare for counterattack. We're done playing defense. In the shadow of the alien flagship, the Retribution moved like a predator, flanked by the remaining Terran cruisers. Holt's fighters regrouped, their wings scorched but spirits unbroken. Here's the plan, Voss announced. We hit them hard and fast. Focus fire on the nearest cruiser's starboard flank. Holt, keep their fighters off us. Once we punch a hole, we drive every torpedo we have straight through it. No second chances. Yes, sir, Holt said. Let's ruin their day. The assault began with a flash of railgun fire and missile salvos. The Tyrax shields buckled under the relentless barrage, their energy field straining against a storm of tungsten, plasma, and fury. Direct hit. Lynn called. Their cruiser's hull is compromised. Push through. Voss barked. Don't let up. The Retribution surged forward, delivering the killing blow, a concentrated torpedo strike that split the alien vessel in two. Its detonation lit up the void like a supernova, the shockwave rattling every deck. The crew cheered, the sound raw and desperate. Voss didn't smile this time. He stared at the burning wreckage, knowing this was just the beginning. Commander, Holt's voice cut in, quieter now. They're regrouping. We've made them angry. Good, Voss said, his tone like iron. Let them come. We'll show them what humans do when cornered. He looked around the bridge, at faces streaked with sweat and determination. Signal to all ships, he said. Message is simple. We don't run. We don't bow. We fight. And if they want to take Nova Terra, they'll pay in blood. Outside, the debris of the destroyed alien cruiser drifted silently, glowing embers against the cold void. The Tyrax fleet held its formation for a heartbeat too long, as though reevaluating its prey. Voss leaned forward, his voice low, but carrying across the bridge. Send them a message, he said. Perish. The Tyrax fleet did not retreat. Instead, it spread out like a predator circling wounded prey, its ships repositioning with ruthless precision. The void between the stars felt heavier, as if it braced for the carnage to come. Commander Elias Voss stood at the Retribution's tactical table, his knuckles pale against its surface. They're changing formation, Tactical Officer Lynn reported, her voice clipped but steady. 2 carriers pulling back, destroyers moving to shield the flagship. They're tightening the noose, Voss said, studying projection of red enemy markers closing around a cluster of battered Terran ships. They're expecting us to stay defensive. And if we don't... Holt's voice came through the comms. Her fighter squadron docked briefly with the Retribution for refueling. Voss looked up. Then they find out humans don't wait to die. The bridge hummed with nervous energy. Plasma burn scarred the hull, and flickering lights bore silent testimony to how close the last wave of attacks had come. Chief Engineer Darius approached, grease streaking his uniform. Commander, we're patched up enough to hold, but if we take another direct hit to the forward shields... We won't be sitting ducks for that to happen, Voss interrupted. Get me a firing solution. We're going to break through their line. Minutes later, the Retribution led the counteroffensive. 6 human cruisers moved in formation, their hulls streaked with battle scars. Holt's fighters soared ahead, darting between bursts of alien plasma fire like shards of light. They're scanning us, Lynn said, trying to anticipate our trajectory. Let them guess, Voss replied. Full burn on thrusters. Bring us head on. The Retribution surged forward, railguns primed, its torpedo bays loaded with the last of its high-yield warheads. Contact in 20 seconds, Lynn announced. Focus fire on that destroyer, Voss ordered. If we break it, the rest of their flank will falter. The first exchange was brutal. Tyrax plasma blasts hammered the Retribution's shields, each impact shaking the deck like thunder. Crew members clung to their stations as sparks rained from ruptured panels. Forward shields at 40%. Darius shouted over the din. Fire all railguns. Voss barked. The retaliatory barrage struck the Tyrax destroyer with pinpoint precision, Tungsten slugs tore through its shield layers, cracking open the strange living armor that pulsed along its hull. A secondary volley of torpedoes hit moments later, igniting an explosion that swallowed half the ship in blue fire. Direct hit. Lynn cried. The bridge erupted in cheers, but the moment was short-lived. New contact. Lynn warned. Their flagship is deploying heavy drones. The Tyrax drones were unlike anything human forces had seen. Sleek, blade-shaped constructs that move with eerie synchronization. Holt's voice cut in sharply. "Commander, those things are fast. Faster than our interceptors." "Then don't chase them," Voss replied. "Lure them." "Copy that." Holt and her squadron dove into the swarm, weaving through deadly patterns of plasma bolts. Her fighters' nose cannons spat fire, shredding one drone into glowing shards. "Got one," Holt said between ragged breaths. "But these things learn quick. They're adapting mid-flight." "Keep them busy," Voss said. "Lynn, bring our EMP mines online." EMP mines weren't meant for large-scale battles. They were crude tools designed to disable rogue satellites or pirate ships. But desperation had turned humanity into masters of improvisation. "Deploy mines pattern Delta," Voss ordered. The Retribution ejected the devices into the swarm. They floated like harmless debris until the Tyrax drones closed in. A pulse of crackling energy surged outward, frying alien circuits in a brilliant chain reaction. Half the swarm went dead, spinning silently into the void. "Beautiful work," Holt said. "The rest of them are pulling back." On the alien flagship, High Overlord Zyrak watched the battle unfold with growing irritation. His clawed hand curled around the armrest of his command throne, the chitinous plates on his forearm glinting under cold light. "Primitive weapons," he hissed, voice low and venomous. "Yet they bite. Why?" His second-in-command, a smaller Tyrax officer, hesitated. "They fight with unpredictability. Overlord. They do not follow logic." "Then they will be crushed," Zyrak snarled. "Send word. We strike with the war beam. Erase their flagship." Back on the Retribution, alarms blared. "They're charging something," Lynn said, her voice tight. "Massive energy spike from their flagship. Too concentrated for standard plasma fire." Voss felt the weight of the moment settle, like a stone in his chest. "War beam," he muttered. "They're about to gut us." "What's the plan?" Holt demanded over comms. Voss stared at the tactical map. "We hit them first." "Load the Titan rounds," Voss commanded. The crew froze. Titan rounds were experimental, dense rods designed to punch through planetary crust during mining operations. They weren't weapons in the conventional sense, but Voss had no intention of fighting conventionally. "Sir, those rounds could tear us apart if the railgun coils overheat," Darius warned. "Then aim true," Voss said. "Lynn, calculate the flagship's weakest point." "Holt, give us cover." "You got it," Holt replied, voice like fire. The Retribution lunged forward, thrusters screaming. Holt's fighters cut across the enemy's line, unleashing decoys and countermeasures to draw fire away from the Terran cruisers. Every second felt like a countdown to death. "Coils at critical temperature," Darius reported. "We got one shot before we melt the railgun." "One shot's all I need," Voss said. "Fire." The Titan round launched with a thunderous crack, streaking through space like a meteor. It slammed into the Tyrax flagship's side, punching through armor and into its core. The resulting explosion rippled across the alien hull, cascading into secondary blasts that tore entire sections apart. "They're crippled," Lynn shouted. "Flagship's losing power." The Tyrax fleet hesitated. For the first time, they faltered. Voss didn't miss his chance. "All ships press the attack. Give them no room to regroup." The Terran cruisers surged forward, railguns blazing. Holt's squadron swooped in for surgical strikes, targeting exposed reactors and ruptured fuel lines. 2 more destroyers down, Lynn reported, her voice alive with disbelief. Voss's expression didn't soften. "We're not done yet. Not until they run." On the alien flagship, Zyrak rose from his throne, his body trembling with rage. His ship, his pride, bled fire into the void. "Withdraw," his second-in-command asked cautiously. Zyrak's voice was a low growl. "No, not yet. I will burn their world first." "Commander," Holt said as her fighter looped past the wreckage of a fallen Tyrax cruiser. "We've got their attention now." "Good," Voss said. His gaze was fixed on the burning alien flagship. "Because I'm not here to survive. I'm here to win." The captured Tyrax dreadnought loomed like a carcass in the void, its massive silhouette still venting faint streams of green vapor. It had taken a combined effort of 3 Terran cruisers, a dozen starfighters, and the Retribution's tightened round to bring it down, but Elias Voss saw more than wreckage. He saw an opportunity. "We're going inside," he said flatly, standing over the tactical table as the crew exchanged wary glances. "Commander, we've never breached one of their ships intact," Lynn warned. "Their architecture is, well, it's alive. We don't know what we're walking into." "That's why we're going," Voss said. "I want their secrets. I want to know how they think, how they fight. If we're going to beat them, we need more than luck." Holt's voice chimed in over comms, sharp as ever. "I'll lead the boarding team. We've got one shot before they scuttle that hulk." Voss nodded. "Take only what you need: fast movers, demolition gear, and an EMP pack. If they're smart, they'll have set traps. If they're arrogant, they'll think we won't dare." The boarding pod latched onto the alien dreadnought's hull with a jarring clang. Inside, Holt stood at the front, helmet sealed, rifle slung across her chest. 6 Marines in reinforced exosuits waited behind her, their faces grim but determined. The hatch hissed open. The corridor beyond was like stepping into the gullet of a beast. The walls pulsed faintly with bioluminescent veins, the organic metal seeming to breathe under the dim light. A foul, sweet-sour odor hung in the air. "Keep tight," Holt whispered, her voice crisp over the squad's comms. "This place isn't dead yet." From the Retribution, Voss watched through their helmet feeds. The alien interior was unlike any construct he'd seen. Curved surfaces, twitching membranes, and strange crystalline nodes that hummed with residual energy. "Reading power signatures ahead," Lynn reported. "Whatever's left of their control systems is still active." "Holt, move carefully," Voss said. "Find their command core if you can." The Marines advanced in silence, rifles sweeping every corner. The floor beneath them felt soft like compressed flesh, and every footstep left faint impressions. "Commander," Holt murmured, "this ship, it's not just built. It's grown." Voss clenched his jaw. "Then we rip out its heart." They reached a wide chamber, circular and alien in every sense. Tall, spindly structures rose from the floor like bone spires, humming with low vibration. A central column of translucent material pulsed with a rhythmic beat, glowing faintly green. "Looks like a control nexus," Holt said. "I don't see any crew." "Don't assume they're gone," Voss warned. As if on cue, something shifted in the shadows. The air filled with chittering hiss, and alien warriors emerged, sleek, insectoid creatures with bladed limbs and armored carapaces. Their black eyes glinted like obsidian. "Contact!" Holt shouted. The firefight erupted instantly. The Marines opened up with burst-fire rifles, tungsten rounds sparking against alien armor before punching through. The Tyrax warriors shrieked, leaping with unnatural speed. One Marine went down, his exosuit punctured by a blade. "Hold the line." Holt barked, cutting down 2 with precise shots. From the bridge, Voss's voice cut through the chaos. "Holt, you're outnumbered. Pull back to the airlock." "Negative," Holt snapped. "We've got one chance to grab their data core. We're finishing this." She charged forward, planning an EMP charge against the glowing column. Sparks crackled as the alien system screamed in a chorus of light. "Charge set," she said, breathless. We grab what we can and run. The blast rocked the dreadnought, frying the alien tech and sending arcs of energy racing across the chamber. Holt yanked a crystalline shard from the wreck control node, its surface etched with patterns like veins. "Data core secured," she reported, retreating as the surviving Tyrax warriors lunged in rage. "Get your team out now," Voss said. His voice carried no hesitation. The boarding pod slammed back into the Retribution's docking bay, Marines dragging their wounded comrade inside. Holt stepped out, her armor scorched and smeared with alien ichor. She held up the crystal core like a trophy. "Commander," she said with crooked grin, "they're not going to like what we just stole." Voss didn't smile. He took the core, its faint hum vibrating in his hands. "We'll tear this apart and learn everything they've been hiding. This war just changed." Hours later, the bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of analysis drones scanning the alien artifact. Lynn's face was pale as data scrolled across her console. "Commander," she said, voice low, "you need to see this." Voss stepped beside her. The display showed a web of alien attack routes, dozens of human colonies marked for eradication. "They're not just here for Nova Terra," Lynn said. "They plan to wipe every trace of humanity within 50 light years. Earth is on the list." Voss stared at the map, his jaw tightening. "Then we make sure this is the last time they think we're prey." He turned to Holt, who stood leaning against the bulkhead, arms crossed. "You know what this means?" She smirked. "Yeah, we stop running and start hunting." The crew gathered as Voss addressed them, his voice steady and cold. "They came here expecting to scare us into submission. They expected easy prey. Instead, we've bled them, crippled their flagship, and taken their secrets. From this point on, we don't wait for their next move. We strike first. We hunt them in their own shadows." The bridge filled with a ripple of agreement. Grim nods, clenched fists, and the silent resolve of people who had stared into extinction and refused to blink. "Commander," Lynn said suddenly, "incoming transmission. Encrypted alien signal. It's directed at us." "Put it through." The image of High Overlord Zyrak flickered onto the main screen, his reptilian features twisted with fury. "You dare board my vessel?" His voice was a hiss, low and venomous. "You are insects scratching at the walls of a firestorm. We will burn your worlds until there is nothing left but ash." Voss stepped forward, expression calm but unyielding. "You've never fought humans before," he said. "You think we break. You think we run. But we don't fear fire. We become it." Zyrak's eyes narrowed. "Then you will perish in it." "Maybe," Voss replied, his tone like a blade's edge. "But you'll learn what happens when predators fight back." He cut the transmission. The crew waited for his next order. Voss's gaze swept the bridge, meeting each set of eyes. "Signal to all ships," he said at last. "We're done surviving. We take the war to them." The Terran fleet hung in silent formation near the edge of Proxima Gate, a swirling ring of energy that pulsed like a living storm. Beyond it lay the Tyrax reinforcements, massing for another strike on Nova Terra. Commander Elias Voss stood at the Retribution's forward viewport, watching the gate's light ripple across the void. His face was carved from stone. "This is it," he said to his officers, his voice low but resonant. "We hit them before they cross. No retreat, no hesitation. We make this fight theirs to fear." Tactical Officer Lynn tapped through final diagnostics. "Weapons at full charge. Railguns are cooled and loaded. Torpedo bays are green across all ships." Chief Engineer Darius added, "Hull integrity stable, but if they overwhelm us, we'll burn out fast." "They won't," Voss said, turning to the assembled crew. "Not today." Holt's squadron launched first, starfighters screaming to the void like streaks of fire. Her voice crackled through the comms, edged with determination. "Squadron in position," Holt reported. "We'll cut them apart one piece at a time. Try to keep up, Commander." Voss smirked faintly. "You do your part, Captain. I'll handle the rest." The Tyrax fleet emerged from the gate in a surge of shadow and green fire. Their formation was a wall of death. 3 cruisers flanked by a host of sharp-edged frigates and a command carrier, its hull alive with writhing energy tendrils. "They're scanning us," Lynn said, "trying to find weak points." "Let them look," Voss replied. "Helm, bring us to attack vector Delta. Lock on the carrier's left flank." The opening volley shook the stars. Terran railguns ripped across the void, slamming into Tyrax shields in bursts of incandescent light. Alien plasma fire answered, cutting through space with searing intensity. Forward shields at 70%. Darius called out, Hold steady, Voss ordered. All cruisers, spread fire. Keep them guessing. Holt's fighters dove into the fray, weaving between bursts of alien energy. Watch those drones. Holt shouted. They're deploying another swarm. The Tyrax drones, faster and more coordinated than the last wave, streaked toward the fleet in a tight net of blades and plasma emitters. Holt banked sharply, locking onto the nearest with a salvo of guided micro-missiles. 2 down, she reported, but they're learning faster. Keep their swarm busy, Voss said. Lynn, prep the decoys. Darius, get me a firing solution for those asteroid slings. Aye, Commander, Darius replied, already moving. The asteroid slings were crude, repurposed mining rigs designed to hurl rock debris with devastating kinetic force. Voss had personally approved the modifications. Decoys launched, Lynn reported. The false signatures flared on Tyrax sensors, mimicking cruiser movements. The aliens diverted fire toward the decoys. In that split-second window, the Retribution and its sister ships fired the asteroid slings. Massive chunks of iron and nickel slammed into the Tyrax carrier shields, breaking them apart like glass. Carrier shields collapsing. Lynn shouted, "Target their power nodes." Voss commanded, "Now." The Terran cruisers unleashed a full barrage. Railgun rounds punched the carrier's exposed armor, rupturing its energy core. A chain of explosions lit up its spine, and the entire ship began to tear itself apart. The bridge erupted in cheers, but Voss raised a hand. "Stay focused. The rest of them will fight harder now." On the alien flagship, High Overlord Zyrak bared his fangs. "Primitive vermin," he snarled. "They defy us still." His clawed hand slammed onto the command altar. "Bring the war beam online. Cut them from the stars." "Commander!" Lynn shouted as her screen flashed red. "The Tyrax destroyer is powering a war beam, same weapon that nearly gutted us last time." Voss's expression didn't waver. "Then we strike before it fires. Helm, bring us to full thrust. Holt, I need that war beam neutralized." "Already on it," Holt said, her voice strained as she maneuvered through a deadly storm of plasma. "I'll get close enough to take its eyes out." The battle narrowed into chaos. Holt's squadron darted through the destroyer's defensive turrets, peeling away its drone escort with precision strikes. "Commander," Holt called, "I see a reactor node under their starboard wing. It's glowing like a target." "Hit it," Voss said. "Everything you've got." Holt's fighter dived at a brutal angle, releasing a string of plasma torpedoes that slammed into the reactor node. The explosion ripped across the destroyer's frame, sending shockwaves of fire and metal into space. The warbeam's charging light flickered, then went dark. "Destroyer offline," Holt said between heavy breaths. "But they're angry." The remaining Tyrax cruisers closed in, moving in a wedge formation to crush the Terran ships. The void lit with fire as both sides exchanged relentless volleys. Shields at 30%. Darius yelled, "Divert all auxiliary power to weapons," Voss ordered. "We end this now." The Retribution surged forward, guns blazing. Its torpedoes struck the lead Tyrax cruiser, piercing its weakened armor and detonating deep inside. The alien vessel split apart, its fragments spinning into the void. For a moment, silence reigned. The Tyrax formation wavered. "They're pulling back," Lynn said, disbelief in her tone. "We broke them." "Not yet," Voss replied. His gaze was fixed on the alien flagship, still holding position beyond the gate, its hull glowing with dark fury. "Commander," Holt's voice crackled over the comms. "You thinking what I think you're thinking?" Voss gave a small nod. "We take their flagship, or we don't come back." The Retribution turned its nose toward the looming alien vessel, its thrusters flaring bright. Every crew member felt the weight of the decision, but none hesitated. "Signal all ships," Voss said. "We finish this fight. For every colony they've threatened, for every life they've tried to erase, we burn them down." As the Terran fleet surged forward, Zyrak rose to his full height on the alien bridge, his eyes glimmering with rage. "So," he growled, "the vermin dare to challenge the Predator." Voss's voice echoed through the comms, sharp and cold. "You made a mistake thinking humans were prey." We don't run. We don't bow. And when we strike back... He paused, watching the Tyrax flagship loom larger in the viewport. We don't stop. The Tyrax flagship dominated the void like a nightmare made real. Its jagged hull shimmered with green biolight, pulsating like a living wound, while arcs of energy flared along its spines. Commander Elias Voss stood at the Retribution's viewport, watching the monster turn toward them with slow, deliberate menace. Range to target? He asked, his voice steady. 40,000 kilometers and closing, Lynn replied, her eyes flicking across sensor data. Its primary weapons are powering up. We've got minutes, maybe less. Voss's hands tightened behind his back. Then we take its heart before it beats again. All ships, form on the Retribution. This is a final strike. Holt's squadron darted ahead, starfighters like sparks in the void. Her voice cut over the comms, sharp and alive. We'll carve a path. Just keep your heavy guns pointed at that thing's throat. Voss gave a thin smile. Stay fast, Captain. If they focus on you, I'll make them regret it. The alien flagship unleashed the first volley. Beams of green plasma sighed across space, narrowly missing the Terran cruisers as they veered off course. A glancing shot brushed the Retribution's starboard shield, sending a violent shudder through the ship. Shields down to 80%. Darius barked. Another hit like that, and we'll start bleeding hull. Keep moving, Voss ordered. Helm, evasive zig on my mark. Lynn, target its dorsal turrets, cripple their aim. The Retribution fired a blistering railgun volley. Tungsten rounds struck the alien turrets, blowing one apart in a flare of green fire. Holt's squadron swept in behind the blast, peppering the remaining defenses with precision torpedoes. Turrets neutralized, Holt said between heavy breaths. Their eyes are blind for now. What's next? We go straight through, Voss replied. We take that ship apart from the inside, if we have to. The alien vessel responded with fury. Drone swarms poured from its hull, hundreds of blade-shaped machines glinting in the light of its energy core. They moved like a single organism, weaving deadly patterns. They're coming in fast, Lynn warned. Holt, that's yours, Voss said. Burn through them. On it, Holt replied, diving her fighter into the swarm. The next few moments were chaos. Holt's squadron twisting and firing, detonations flashing in every direction. Holt's voice remained calm but clipped. Lost 2 fighters. The rest of us are cutting through. Hold them off, Voss said. We're going for flagship's core. Voss turned to Darius. Are the Titan rounds prepped? Locked and ready, Darius said. But, Commander, we've only got 2 left. If they fail... They won't fail, Voss said. Aim at its central reactor node. Fire on my command. The Retribution dove toward the flagship's underbelly. Alien fire lanced around them, shaking the hull with every near miss. The reactor node glowed faintly beneath a lattice of organic plating, pulsing like the heart of a beast. Target locked, Lynn said. Fire. The Titan round launched with a thunderous crack, tearing through the void like a comet. It slammed into the plating, punching a hole deep into the flagship's armor. A shockwave of green flame erupted outward. Direct hit, Lynn reported, her voice alive with shock. But the core is still active. It's repairing itself. Not good enough, Voss muttered. Holt, we need another opening. Can you get us closer? I can get you close, Holt said, her fighter weaving through enemy fire. But you're not going to like it. Do it, Voss said without hesitation. Holt's squadron made a suicidal run along the flagship's spine, blasting apart its remaining shields and creating a narrow corridor through the firestorm. Paths open, Commander, she said, voice tight. Take the shot. Darius, load the last Titan round. Voss ordered. It's overheating the rails, Darius warned. 1 shot, and we'll fry the coils. Then make it count, Voss said. Fire when ready. The final Titan round screamed through space, its mass and velocity tearing reality like fabric. It struck the reactor node dead center. For a breathless second, nothing happened. Then the flagship's core erupted in a violent chain reaction. Green flames rippled through its structure, splitting its hull like shattered bone. Critical damage to the flagship, Lynn shouted. Its systems are collapsing. But the Tyrax were not done. A final, desperate transmission filled the comms. High Overlord Zyrak's face, wreathed in smoke and fury. You think this victory saves you? Zyrak hissed. We are endless. You are fragile. Your kind will burn. Voss stepped closer to the display, his voice like steel. You came here thinking we'd kneel. Instead, you learn what happens when humans fight with nothing left to lose. Zyrak's black eyes narrowed. Perish, Voss said and cut the feed. The flagship detonated. The explosion was blinding, a blooming inferno that consumed its drones and rippled to the Tyrax fleet. One by one, alien ships scattered, breaking formation and fleeing into the void. Enemy forces in full retreat, Lynn reported. Her voice trembled, a mix of relief and disbelief. The bridge erupted with cheers. Darius leaned back in his chair, exhaling hard. We actually did it. Not yet, Voss said, though his tone softened. We're alive. That's enough for now. Minutes later, Holt's battered fighter docked with the Retribution. She walked onto the bridge still in her flight suit, visor lifted to reveal a grin smeared with sweat and smoke. Not bad for a bunch of fragile prey, huh? She said. Voss allowed himself the smallest smile. You've earned your bragging rights, Captain. The crew gathered as the last Tyrax signatures vanished from sensors. Lynn turned to Voss. What now, Commander? Do we chase them? Voss looked out at the stars, his gaze unyielding. They'll come back. You don't suffer a defeat like this and forget it. But next time, we won't just survive, we'll take the fight to their worlds. Holt crossed her arms. You're talking about hunting them. I'm talking about making sure no one ever threatens Earth again, Voss said. His voice carried across the bridge like a vow. They thought we were weak. We showed them what happens when humanity stands together. Now we hunt, or we die waiting. The silence that followed wasn't hesitation. It was agreement. Every face on the bridge carried the same fire. Outside, the wreckage of the Tyrax flagship drifted in silence, glowing like embers scattered across the dark. For the first time since the war began, the void felt less like a tomb and more like a promise. Send a message to all Terran ships, Voss said finally. Tell them what we told the Tyrax. Lynn tilted her head. What message, sir? Voss's gaze didn't waver from a burning horizon. One word, he said. Perish.